Let's see what James and Kirk had to say about the album when we caught up with them at Metallica HQ in San Francisco.
This album has been such an awesome collaboration of all of us. I mean, it's a testament to our gifts and our brotherhood. Growing through the albums, we go through phases. It got to be the James and Lars project, around Justice for All. Then the Black Album started to open up more and more, and this is kind of the epitome of that openness. We came in here with no riffs, no song titles, no lyrics, no anything.
Nothing.
Started from scratch. No bass player. Let's just start. I'm not going to bring any songs in that I'm attached to and get all egoed out over. But we just went for it from scratch, and it felt so great. Anyway, Saint Anger, to me, was very... it's not quite right. To juxtaposition, it's like a juxtaposition.
Yeah, an oxymoron.
What'd you call me?
Sorry, man.
Yeah, I mean, Saint and Anger, they're not supposed to go together. And what I learned going through rehab that anger has a purpose. And it doesn't do you any good if it's sitting down in here festering and boiling, since you're 17 years old. Being able to express that in a healthy way, that's basically what it's about.
Metallica have pushed the boundaries of artistic music videos, but they didn't make a video until 1998's clip for One.
It's pretty interesting that the concept of video and how it's changed over the years.
Yeah.
If you don't do a video, something, you're not a band or something. It's really weird that, back then it was more of a, oh, this is a trend or a fad or something that's,
You also have to understand, this was the 80s, and, a lot of the MTV videos, or metal videos that were on MTV, were all a certain kind of video. They all had chicks and, cars, and they showcased, the rock and roll party lifestyle, and that was all just so cheesy to us. We almost didn't want to put out a video because we didn't want to associate ourselves with that kind of perception, because that's what videos were back then. I mean, they were downright cheesy.
The first single off the new album is Saint Anger. The video was shot over 2 days at San Quentin Prison in San Francisco.
I hope it comes across as real. We were really there. These are real inmates. This is the real 150-year-old prison, one of the oldest ones in California. And for me, it was pretty cathartic. It was, I could have easily been in there, and some of the behaviors that I had in my past, when we left there, I've never hugged my wife and my kids as hard as I did, man. But the video itself hopefully captures that pent-up anger, the just frustration, and the loneliness that those guys have. And
heavy metal music has long been considered the music for angry young men, but in recent years it seems that hip-hop is beginning to take this mantle. Could this be the end for metal?
There will always be people who are, like the sound of just angry lyrics with loud guitars and heavy, fast beats, and that's just not something you're getting a lot of in hip-hop music. I don't think that it actually, one would take the place of another. I definitely think that they can coexist, but I definitely don't think that one has been, subsidized by another at all. I think there will always be a place where metal will always just be there.
it'll survive. I mean, it always has.
Yeah.
But yeah, hip-hop is another form of expression.
Absolutely. You a fan of Eminem at all?
Yeah, I like some of the later stuff that he's been doing. I think he's gotten past the sensationalism stuff, and people are taking him serious for a human being, you know, telling his story through his music.
I think he's a great lyricist. I mean, he really is good at telling a story through his music. Yeah, you know, he's just another angry young man who's found his medium through hip-hop instead of heavy metal.
Metallica have written some of the most memorable guitar riffs of all time, so I had to ask them.
What's your favourite riff that when you play, you just, I am the man?
There's so many, man.
Oh man, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
Because you know, on the new album, there's so many that are like. I mean, the riff for Saint Anger
Is a killer.
But then you go back and you start playing old songs again, and you're, you know, Harvester's Sorrow.
That's a
like,
good.
wow, okay. And you know, I mean, I do have to say that Kirk wrote Enter Sandman there, so I must say that's one of the most memorable riffs that I usually forget.
I'd have to say that opening lick in Seek and Destroy is super cool. When you hear that, you go, whoa, that's great. That's a classic. I mean, the first time I'd ever heard that, I knew that that would be in my head for the rest of my life. You know, this is one of those riffs you don't forget. On the first time you hear it, you go, that's a riff. You know, it's like Smoke on the Water or something. Well, for me, you know.
Oh, sure.
Isn't that sweet? Metallica have been writing music for well over 20 years, a lot longer than most of their contemporaries from the early days.
You know, it's all down to chemistry, you know, but it's also down to personal chemistry as well. I mean, you know, you can have a great musical chemistry and make great music and be a great band, but if you don't have great personal chemistry, you're going to run into a lot of obstacles, I feel. You know, if you can't work with someone, you know, things are going to be rocky. I mean, that's really the bottom line.
Here's some classic Metallica, Fade to Black, live in concert.
This is an unbelievable sanctuary for us. Well, we've rehearsed here for probably the last, what?
Since like 94, 95, yeah.
Oh, quite a long time. Definitely looked a little different back then. There were squatters up in the roof, up in the rafters and stuff. It came up for sale, and it was, you know, Metallica had never really bought kind of a group thing together, you know, besides a bunch of snake pits and stages and stuff that end up as scrap metal. But for us to own a building, you know, and consolidate a fan club from Knoxville, website from Sweden, and we had the gear, you know, the swag was down in L.A. So we got all together here at HQ, and you know, all our gear is out there. It's like a, you know, it's a playground. There's amps everywhere. It's like a clubhouse, you know, all the stuff on the walls and things in our own individual rooms that aren't quite allowed at home, you know, at least in my home, you know. You're not putting that up in here. Okay, down to the club it goes.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, a lot of people comment, you know, they come here for the first time and they look around and they see all our personal stuff that we brought over from the house, you know, and all of these Metallica posters that have just been lying around, you know, and the next thing they know, you know, they think they're at, well, this is what one person said to me. He said, this place is like a Metallica museum. And I thought about it, and I'm like, really didn't mean it to be that way, but I guess it could be a museum to an outsider who comes in and sees all these old posters from like 1983 and all these pictures that were never published or whatever, you know.
Have you got more memorabilia spread out around the place? You got warehouses with, you know, old props and stuff, or has it all been consolidated here?
No, I think in all our personal storage places, there's a ton more stuff.
Uh-huh.
A ton.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
We just keep buying stuff and never sell it. It's like
The pack
we got
rat.
warehouses filled with stuff, you know, amps from this tour, you know, lions from the Justice tour, and
Yeah.
but we got Doris's head hanging in the other room. We got the original Ride the Lightning backdrop from '84.
Bit of a skull
really
chair,
cool-
skull throne. That your
Oh,
chair.
yeah, yeah.
Where's that from?
Oh, it's just this guy I knew in Texas built it for me. It's built off roadkill. Yeah. It's the roadkill throne, and like James said, you know, this place ends up with a lot of stuff that isn't allowed in our own.
That's not your chair for the dinner
You
table.
know, it's not something that my wife and I like sit in and watch TV.
Please, yeah. But also just stuff that we never really would embrace before, you know. It's like, okay, that's that, and
We'll get to it whenever.
I think we're better off looking back and enjoying, kind of embracing the stuff that we've accomplished.